Hey guys, Jim here. Today we are looking at the EcoReco S5. This is my first review with Electric Ride Review, and because of that there was no universal service fee charge because I bought this scooter on my own. I did use the EcoReco's reverse auction deal, which is a dynamic pricing tool EcoReco uses to help you get discounts on either pre-owned or factory refurbished scooters. I bought it for $520. Part of the thing with the reverse auction deal is you don't get free shipping, so all in it was closer to $600 with taxes and what have you. So I just want to talk a little bit about EcoReco themselves. They started on Kickstarter in about 2013, and Court did a review on both the M3 and the M5 scooters, which this is sort of an update to. Generally it's similar in a lot of ways, as we'll go through, to those two scooters. Let's take a peek at the scooter over here, and I'll go through some of the features. We'll take it for a ride test, and hopefully that helps you out. So let's check it out. So right away you can see it's excuse my shadow, it's a pretty good looking matte black scooter. It hits on a lot of the points people are looking for as far as looks. It's pretty subdued, but also looks professional. EcoReco is in the Bay Area of California, and so they kind of market towards this, maybe tech crowd. All right, so looking at the handlebars here, it's a pretty standard setup. You got the display and the trigger throttle here, a brake with a nice bell. There's also a motor inhibitor on this side. And you'll see EcoReco kind of has a minimal amount of branding here. You got the EcoReco brand on the side. There's one on the deck, and then also, I don't know if you can see it there, but there's also a EcoReco just S5 labeling down on the side of the deck. The folding mechanism for the handlebars, it's pretty easy to work. You just slide this collar to the side and pop, and that has a nice positive click, and they feel pretty solid. Actually, these connections are a little hard to loosen if you're and I'm surprised I'm able to do it with one hand, honestly. So coming here to the front, you got a coil suspension, a minimal amount of travel. I don't see specs anywhere for the amount of travel, but we'll show in the ride test it's kind of minimal. The amount it just takes out the major road imperfections, and we got 6-inch solid rubber tires. And one of sort of my issues with this scooter is you got kind of a flat profile, as you can see here. Excuse my shadow again. So you don't get a lot as you're cornering. You'll hear it when I ride it. You get a little bit of a loss of traction feeling across as you transfer from the main bead of the tire over to the sidewall. So it's kind of I think it's really more of a straight line scooter and smooth surfaces because of the tire setup. EcoReco does have a really nice accessory store, so there's some trailer options, there's some carry bag options, and it also looks like there's air tire options as well as customization options for different colored fenders and springs and some other things. I think this scooter would benefit with air tires. So let's move on to the deck here. Actually, I'll take you up here and show you the display. So it's a pretty simple display. It comes on 2 seconds on, the display comes to life. And you see it's even at night it's nicely backlit, and it doesn't, sometimes displays, the backlighting kind of interferes with your night vision. This one doesn't seem to at all. So the first mode it pops to is your trip, so 25 miles. This is a lifetime odometer. When I bought this it had 2 miles, so I've ridden it at 33 miles. And this is the numerical equivalent of the graphical speed. So when I do the ride test, I'll turn this on so you can see how those two link up. And this is the number of charging cycles that went through on the scooter so far. So I'll talk more about this with the battery, but it's a lithium-ion battery. So this should get a lot of charging cycles, probably a minimum of 1,000. And I do like this charging cycle indicator, and especially for the reverse auction deal scooters, because you kind of have an idea what you're getting. So I'm going to go back down here to just the side of the scooter. So you got a nicely integrated kickstand I tighten this up. There's a little bit of wiggle in it. It doesn't seem like it's in a good location. I like the kickstand function, but it doesn't tighten up anymore, even though I tried to tighten it up. Here at the back, we got a rear swing arm suspension, and I'm going to go and actuate it to see if you can. Here, I'm 175 pounds, and you can see that without a ton of effort, I'm bottoming that suspension out. That being said, EcoReco rates this scooter for 250 pound maximum weight riders. I'm 175 pounds, like I just said. So some of those performance statistics we'll go into later. You just have to bear in mind, if you're a heavier rider, scooters, even more so than electric bikes, seem like they're susceptible might be the wrong word, influenced by rider weight quite a bit. Top speed, range, acceleration, all those will be affected. So go back here, you can see the tail light is on. I'm going to set this down for a second, and hopefully you'll be able to see my shadow in the way. When you hit the brake lever, the LED brake light comes on. That's a really nice feature, and it's really bright. I mean, I really have to give it to EcoReco. There's no headlight on this scooter, but the taillight is very nice, like as for a brightness level goes. So in back here, it's a rear motor, direct drive motor, and this is a 600 watt peak. Now EcoReco does not give you doesn't give the nominal output, but judging by this is the sort of the successor for the M series. That was a 250 watt nominal motor. I'm nearly positive that's what this is. It's not anywhere in the literature that I'm finding. I'm pretty positive it's 250 watt nominal, 600 watt peak. And back to that same idea, it's got the brake lever actuates this integrated drum brake. One of my issues I've had with this scooter is the drum brake adjustment, and I'm gonna show you here. So right now, go to this side. Right now the drum brake is as loose as it goes, so it has two adjustments. One is covered in this wrap, and the other is up on the hand brake itself. This is as loose as it will go currently. I have the hand grip adjusted to actually allow some braking. So the problem I've had is, you'll see here, if I can do this without getting anything crashing down on me, you can see it does not freewheel. And you can hear that rubbing, and when you're pushing it, when you're kicking it, you will feel that as well. So I tried to be really fair with EcoReco on this and contacted them multiple times to make sure I was properly adjusting this brake, because I didn't want to misrepresent the braking of the scooter, and I really didn't get any response. I think I brought it up in 3 emails to them, and I never got any guidance on proper adjustment beyond what's in the manual that I just kind of talked to you about. I'm going to pause a second while this helicopter goes past. So, and that brings me back to another thing, is EcoReco in the past was really cutting edge, or they made us kind of top of the market with their warranty. They had a 2-year warranty for most of the parts on the scooter, and I'll have to double check if that was the battery as well. But this model, that warranty is downgraded, still pretty good, to a year. Now with the reverse auction deal, that's only 90 days. So just to be aware, and I know customer service was a huge focal point for EcoReco. I don't want to judge solely on my experience with this, but there were some difficulties communicating with EcoReco back and forth. One of the things I had a problem with this scooter is it wasn't charging when I first got it, and what it was, I discovered pushing out, was the charge port had come loose. Well, come to find out that was bad, but it's been almost a month and I was supposed to receive a replacement, but I haven't. I'm still able to charge it. It just makes me a little more nervous. Onto the deck. So the deck is pretty generous on the EcoReco. It's 18.5 inches long. That's not including this, which you can kind of effectively use as an extension of the deck, and 5.5 inches wide. It does not have grip tape, but it's kind of this roughed up, I think it's a plastic. It's hard for me to tell honestly if this is plastic or aluminum, when I pull it off, I'll confirm that. But one thing I like to do is I like to show, I wear a size 10 shoe, and I kind of like to visually represent the size of the deck. I tend to ride with my right foot forward and kicking off with my left. But with this deck, it allows you to extend back quite a bit. So I like that it gives you some more foot positions in there, but it's really difficult to ride this way, side to side, just as a note. And as I said, one of the things, this was the successor to the M Series, and this scooter is 2 inches shorter than the M Series one was, and also 7 pounds lighter. And I weighed this scooter at 28.6 pounds. EcoReco advertises it at 28 pounds, so that's reasonably close. And it is quite a bit lighter than the predecessor. So now I'm going to talk about the battery. Alright, like I said, we're back here, we're looking at the battery. Bedding compartment, just a little foam kind of sealant, so I would think because of that I would hesitate to use this scooter in wet conditions, and most of them prescribe not doing that. I want to revise my earlier statement. This does appear to be an aluminum deck. I would probably personally add a little grip tape to it. As you can see here, maybe you can see, I'll pull this out for you, nice little strap to get the battery out. This is a 36 volt 8 amp hour battery, so that gives you, I think the calculation is 288 watt hours of power. If that's incorrect, I'll put that on the video as a correction. And I weighed this at 3.4 pounds, so that's a pretty significant weight savings, and this is lithium ion, so you get good power to weight ratio with lithium ion. The M Series had lithium iron phosphate batteries, which are known for really long life and stability, but that battery pack was 7 pounds. I think most of the savings of weight between the two series is really battery technology and a little bit of smaller footprint of the scooter. One thing I wanted to show in here I find is really interesting EcoReco does is the scooter has, you can limit it at 7.5 miles per hour and 12 miles per hour. And what you do is these limiters, you basically make this connection, and that creates your speed limitation. I think it's pretty interesting that they are open to allowing people to open up the deck and kind of mess with stuff in here. That's sort of unusual, and a lot of times that's more of a, once you open this up, your warranty is sort of void. So I kind of like it in a way, because then it kind of supports the DIY types and people that want to do stuff to their scooter. And you can see here that there's a lot of room. Like if you were into custom battery packs, you could probably fit a lot more watt hours in here if you wanted to. Of course, then the challenge with any of these things is putting it back together. One other thing I want to talk about the deck is the deck height is 6 inches off the ground, and then but clearance, the minimum clearance down here at the bottom, which there is some plastic portions, the minimum clearance is 2.5 inches. So that's a significant amount of deck space in there, and you know that could be, I don't know if that'd be problematic, but it's the issue with the 6-inch deck height is that you end up with it's hard to kick, like if you're kicking unassisted, and that's just something to note. Also, I wanted to show that this is a charging port on this side. I like that it's opposite the kickstand. That's helpful. And it's a threaded connection. I did not bring the charger. It's a fairly standard 2 amp charger that weighs 1.3 pounds. Nothing especially special, except it does have that more secure threaded connection. In here I realized there's a pretty major thing I missed. Not missed, but just didn't get to yet. And that is the folding mechanism. So one of the big changes another change from the shortening and the lightening of the scooter is the inclusion of this lock port for locking up the scooter. And that's not something you see on a lot of scooters. And I really like that integration. It doesn't seem to affect the strength of the scooter or anything. It worked from some smaller diameter cable locks, and also most U-locks should fit through that. And that's really smart. I'm going to show you real quick the way the folding mechanism works. And it's a little bit more of a two-part fold than some other scooters. So, and I honestly almost always kind of forget what's going on here. So the first one is releasing this tab, and one nice thing it does say is, you know, it gives you a little instruction, lift me up. And I like that that's a nice little touch that's labeled right there. And see what I'm saying? It always, you know, it's a small little mechanism, and I always kind of, it gets me a little bit. So there you have it. You'll see how the I don't have the smallest hands in the world, but the diameter is pretty big. So, and the way this moves, it's a little bit hard to carry, honestly, with the weight being, you know, over 28 pounds, and the size of the stem for holding on to is pretty big. And there's not a lot of great options for, you can kind of hold it like this, but you got to tilt it way up. I'm holding it by the stem here and dragging it that way. That's not really very easy to do, to be honest. So I'm going to fold it back up and show you how the handlebars work. So there's the fold back up, and that pops in. And one thing you'll see here, there's quite a bit of play. And this is how it came to me. But what I found, and I don't really remember seeing this in the manual, but I'm going to show you how you take that out. On the back side, let me see, move over a little bit. That's my string for my hoodie. On the back side, there's this adjustment bolt to the back of the stem mechanism, and so if you just give that a little tighten, I mean just that little bit. But what I found before, you have to find a happy medium between tightening this, and when you get it really tight, this is hard to pull out. Like I had to use a tool. Now I can just get it, and it looks like I got that little bit of wiggle effectively out of the mechanism. There are 3 presets here, 1, 2, 3, and those 3 presets give you 34 inches from the deck to the handlebars, 37, and then 40 inches. So that accommodates a pretty wide range of different heights. I'm 5'10", and this center height is pretty good for me. It is a 2-part folding process. So what you do is and you know, it's a little bit, there's some of the things I wish they would have done slightly differently. Like this, for instance, you have to kind of fiddle with this. Okay, and going back through, so one other thing is when the scooter arrived, this, you know, it's got nice wire management generally, but this was on the inside. So this was hitting me when I was riding it. So I rotated this display slightly from myself, and that enabled me to move the cables on the outside, which works better for me. I'm sort of surprised it was shipped the other way. I don't know if that's usual or not. But one of the last improvements or upgrades or differences is they started integrating this 1/4-inch thread that works for GoPro accessories and camera accessories. The only problem, this is obviously, as you'll see, this is a female thread. So you have to, generally with most GoPro accessories, you need, it's also got a female thread, so you need some sort of male-to-male adapter or something else along those lines. Like with most scooters, this has a safety feature, like you have to be moving. And one of the issues with the M series was it took more pushing off to really get it ready to go. This one seems to be pretty easy. Like you just basically push off and it's going. So I haven't found much of an issue with that. Alright, here, so we're going to do a little ride test so you get a feel for what the scooter's like. Hope you can see my phone with a GPS speedometer. At the same time, you'll see the graphical speedometer and the numerical one. So let's try to give you an idea for how this thing feels to ride, and let's do it. Get your weight on it. Because of the rear motor, it will kind of want to, you know, get a little squirrely on you. And if I can, I'll put the speed on the video for down on my foot on the GPS, and hopefully get an idea of, you know, how fast things are going. And one thing you'll probably notice right away is this, it's really smooth. So hopefully you're getting a little bit of audio for how the motor works. We're going to go up here a little bit. There's a nice hill, So you should be able to feel, and I'm going to come off the path here so you can feel a little bit. That's pretty smooth. But the suspension does a pretty good job at taking out the small road imperfections. So the speedometer right now is saying they're pretty lined up, about 18, 17. So I think I said earlier my top speed was 20, and I'm going to do a maximum brake right now. This is full brake, so you can feel it there. Then it will actually lock it up, but not until it gets to a low speed. I've tried loosening the brake a little bit, and that's pretty much as loose as it gets with still having braking power. Now I'm sorry that I'm not having talking to the camera directly, but I'm not quite coordinated enough to do audio, video, and ride a scooter, because you kind of need both hands to ride the scooter. Approaching this hill, you can probably hear that suspension working over those bumps. So even going up that hill, the motor, you definitely tell it's kind of working, but it makes it's still silent. It's really, the motor on this is really the high point, in my opinion, of this scooter. It's smooth, it seems to be powerful, and yeah, the motor's strong point. You can probably see on this video right now how because of the color and the texture of the deck, it gets dirty really fast. That's only just a couple minutes of riding, just so you know. And I'm going to go up another small hill up here. See hopefully you can hear something that helps you out. But I'm going to try to do a little cornering in a minute, so maybe you can hear what I was alluding to regarding. So right now it's straight line, you're good. And I think when you can hear a little bit there when I'm turning, that difference in sound that comes with these flattish profile tires. But here I'm going up a little bit of a hill. Hopefully you can hear that rear direct drive motor working a little bit, but it's still, there you get a big idea of what this does on a bump. Best on this is doing a very light kick and then get your weight planted on the scooter before taking off. Oh man, that was rough. Bigger bumps like this, the travel's not great, so anything more than minor road imperfections, you start to regret a little bit. I'm going to do a little loop here, and I'm going to come in. I'm going to do this little off-road section. Hang on. You might be able to tell from that, but this is not really the scooter's strong suit. That is, those tires, they just have no meat on them to really absorb a whole lot. I'm going to do a turn right up here, and hopefully you can hear what I'm talking about with the flat profile of the tires. So listen right here. So in addition to that sound, it really feels like especially if the ground was wet, the scooter is going to slip out from under you. Now it doesn't seem to, but that's what it feels like it would do. And here's another little top speed run. Hopefully you can see the battery indicator there, the speed indicator. They look like they're lined up pretty well. Honestly, this kind of road right here is about as bumpy as stuff as I'd want to go on. Hopefully you're able to see that. The strong point on this scooter to me is the motor. It's really smooth, nearly silent. Like the throttle's really smooth, the motor is nearly silent. It's the smoothest and most silent scooter I've ridden. And yeah, the motor's great. On the contrast to that, the battery's not fantastic. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to say battery. The brake is not fantastic. You get some drag, and that's probably why my range test suffered, which I did a full range test because I wanted to get an idea of where this sat. You know, if it really. So I got 11.7 miles, 11.5 to 11.7 miles, depending on you're going with my watch or or the scooter the scooter speedometer or odometer, trip odometer seemed pretty close. So, you know, they advertise 10 to 20 miles, so it's in that range. So I can't fault them at all on that. And they spec it for a 170-pound rider is what they base their speed and everything on. That being said, on the speed, this is rated without those limiters connected for 20 miles per hour. I was only able to reach around 17 miles per hour as the top speed. Still feels plenty fast, especially with the not fantastic handling of these wider, flatter tires. All in all, performance is pretty good. The weight, I wish the weight was a little lower. It's a little bit cumbersome to handle, to try to get in and to carry around for any distance. You know, another 3 to 5 pounds would really make a difference, and with all that space that's in that battery compartment, I think there's maybe the potential to do that. But other than that, it's it's a pretty solid scooter. The ride's a little bumpy. The suspension's minimal, and hopefully you heard on the riding test, some of the times it will actually bottom out. It makes a pretty loud noise. I've had people turn around and wonder what that noise was when I hit a bump, and it kind of like snaps or pops. But anyway, I hope this gives you a good idea of what riding the EcoReco is like. So I've done a full list of specs, lengths, heights, weights. Some of them I talked about earlier. That's going to be back at Electric Ride Review, along with a detailed write-up on the scooter. If you have any comments and questions, feel free to leave them on the video and the forums, wherever. Again, this is my first review here with Electric Ride Review, and I'm hoping to help you out, and I hope to see you again.